Spring is probably my favorite season to ride in. With the warm temps, it's a great time to learn some new tricks and explore some terrain. It's also awesome because you could ride around your new favorite hoodie, enjoy the sun and high temps. But there are some challenges, like why isn't my board moving? With the right spring wax, you can get that board gliding, and spring may become your new favorite season to ride in. There are 3 keys to having a good springtime wax. The first one's going to be graphite, which is an additive to your wax. The second one's going to be fluoride, which is also an additive to your wax. And the third one is going to be just having the right color temperature for that day. In the springtime, it's usually going to be a warm temp wax, but always check the conditions to make sure you have the most optimal wax. Let's talk about graphite first. Graphite is great for old snow. It repels all the dust and pollen and scum that's in the snow, so it doesn't get absorbed into the base of your board. The older the snow, the more critical the graphite is to have in your base. By old snow, I mean snow that's old. If it hasn't snowed for a month, that snow is old. You need graphite in your board. Next, let's talk about the fluoride. Fluoride repels water, and fluoride is typically already added into a hydrocarbon wax, and it's going to be labeled low fluoride or high fluoride. And the more water that's in the snow, the higher the fluoride content you want in your wax. Also, be aware that fluoride does not help your board if the snow is not wet. If it is dry snow, the fluoride could actually slow your board down. But if it's a wet snow, you're going to need fluoride. The wetter the snow, the more fluoride. The third one, having the right color temperature wax for your board is debatably one of the most important things to have. In the springtime, you typically will be using a warm wax, which is typically a red color wax. And if you are trying to stretch your warm wax, you only have a limited amount, it's okay to mix it with all temp wax to kind of stretch out your warm wax. For bonus points, you could have a springtime pattern cut into the base of your board. That's like all the little grooves that are in the base of your board. You can cut a pattern that helps the snow move under your board better with a springtime cut. Typically, it's a wider waffle pattern in the base of your board. This is not absolutely necessary, but take it to your local shop. They're going to know what's best for their mountain, and they can add that cut to your board if you really want to get it in optimal shape. All right, let's get into waxing the board. You're going to need the same things you need for a standard wax. You're going to need your iron here. Make sure it's on and hot but not smoking. You're going to need something to wipe the base of your board down. We're going to use a clean towel today. You could also use a wire brush if you have some problem areas, or some citrus cleaner to get out some of that grime if you do have a bunch of grime on your board. But it's pretty essential to at least just wipe off any big dust particles or anything nasty that's been resting on your board from when you transported it from the mountain or just been skiing on it all day. So we're going to wipe that bad boy off right there. Next up, you're going to want to melt your wax onto the board. This is fluorinated wax. It's pretty wet where I am right now, and we're going to just go ahead and melt some of that on there. Melt, melt, melt. So this is our appropriate color wax, which is red, which is going to be the warm wax, and it's also has a fluoride additive in it, so it's going to help repel that water, which we have a lot of in our snow right now. So I've got a healthy amount of fluorinated wax on there. Next up, I'm going to take the graphite, always a black additive looking thing here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of this black graphite on here as well. Our snow is also pretty old. We haven't had some snow in a couple weeks. The snow's pretty corned up right now. It's got lots of pollen and dirt and nasty stuff in it, so definitely need to add some graphite to the base of this board. So I've got my hydrocarbon wax in the appropriate color. I've got the graphite, and I've got the fluorination in there. We just made a big soup, and we're gonna just mix it all into the base of the board and get it as evenly distributed as possible. And once it's in there, you're just gonna wax it how you'd wax your normal board. Get it in there real good. You can check out other videos on how to just wax a snowboard, but we've got it all souped up, pretty evenly distributed, and then we're just gonna go ahead and embed the wax into the base of this board. Alright, so we just waxed our board up and then we let it cool down. Definitely give it ample time to cool down so the wax could get embedded into the pores. And next up comes the scraping. You want to make sure you got a sharp scraper. If you don't have a sharp scraper, you can take it to your local shop, ask them to sharpen it up for you. They probably got one of these little guys. They'll get it nice and sharp, or they'll run on the belt for you. Now the scraping does get a little controversial when it comes to scraping your spring gear. A lot of people like to go with the no scrape just because the spring conditions will just rip the wax off your board usually faster than you can upkeep it. So today we're going to definitely go with like a light scrape. I'm not going to do the full on no scrape. I'm just going to kind of get any like big chunkers off of the board and try to get it as flush as possible, but definitely leave excess wax on there. There's nothing wrong with taking all the excess off and buffing it out and making it, you know, as perfect as you can. But the spring is just going to rip that wax off super fast. So I recommend just a light scrape when it's a springtime. And the warmer it is and the wetter it is, the less of a scrape you can do. And if you're expecting like a firmer springtime condition, maybe then I would scrape all the excess off and maybe buff out my base. So we're gonna go ahead. We're looking good here. It's that simple. Like I said, I'm gonna leave the majority of the excess on there. I'm just gonna get it flush. And that's gonna conclude your springtime wax. Go ahead and play around with how much graphite, how much fluoride, what color hydrocarbon wax is best for your spring day. Mess around with all that, finding the right ratios to your wax soup, getting it all dialed. You'll learn a lot playing with this type of stuff, and I encourage you to get creative with it. You can like cork in the graphite and maybe even get like a fluoride paste and put that on the base too. But what we did here today with the graphite, the fluoride, and having the appropriate wax temperature, I think we're really going to be moving on the mountain. In fact, I know we are, so it's going to be a good time. We're going to be able to make all the jump landings today and keep up with all your buddies, probably pass all your buddies. Alright guys, if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, let us know down below in the comments what type of wax you're putting on your springboard. Do you scrape? Do you not scrape? Let us know. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them, and thanks for tuning in today's video.